was 9 years old when I first heard the whispers. They began not with a scream, not with a bang, but with the quiet rustle of night settling into the corners of our aging countryside house. My mother had moved us out there after my father died. An old two-story colonial with creaking wood floors and an ever-humming refrigerator that seemed to breathe louder than the rest of the house combined. Our nights followed a sacred routine. Dinner at 6, dishes at 6:30, one episode of a sitcom rerun, and then lights out by 8. Mom believed strict order kept chaos at bay, and for the most part, it worked, until that November night. The first whisper came as I lay in bed, tucked tightly under my quilt. It was faint, almost indecipherable, like a breath caught between two walls. Not tonight. He's listening again. I froze. At first I thought the TV had been left on downstairs, but when I opened my bedroom door, the hall was dark. No flickering light, no sound of canned laughter. Only the soft thrum of the wind outside and the occasional groan of the old wooden beams shifting in their ancient place. I tiptoed to the top of the stairs. The house felt heavier than usual, dense, pressurized, like it was holding its breath. The whispers were clearer now. They were coming from the kitchen, from behind the pantry door. I knew better than to go downstairs, but curiosity, sharp, needle-like curiosity, pushed me 2 steps down the staircase before my brain could protest. Each wooden plank groaned beneath my socked feet, and the temperature dropped as I descended, as if the warmth of the house refused to follow me. From the living room, everything looked normal. Moonlight pooled on the rug through the window. The couch stood in its place. The family photo sat crooked on the side table, as always. But the kitchen, something was wrong. The door to the pantry, normally sealed shut with a latch that stuck from years of swollen wood, was slightly open, and the whispers were coming from inside. I crept closer. The floor beneath me turned cold, like standing over a basement grate. I could make out 2 distinct voices, one male, one female. They weren't speaking clearly, as if their mouths were too close together, their words melting into each other like fog. Then I heard my name. Eli. Eli's still awake. My blood turned to ice. I ran back to my room, heart slamming against my ribs, and buried myself under the covers until sleep finally came, not from comfort, but from sheer exhaustion. In the morning, everything was as it had always been. The pantry door was closed. My mom was sipping coffee at the table, her eyes sunken but calm. I wanted to ask her if she'd heard anything, but I didn't. I didn't want to sound crazy, and maybe, just maybe, I didn't want to confirm that it had been real, but it happened again the next night, and the night after that. Each time the whispers became bolder, louder. They said things I didn't understand, references to rooms we didn't have, names I didn't recognize, phrases like "turn the key" and "don't let the eye see." Then one night, I didn't just hear them, I saw them. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay in bed, covers pulled to my chin, eyes fixed on the ceiling where shadows stretched and bent like vines. The whispers started again around 1 a.m., always the same time, and I forced myself to sit up. This time, I wasn't going to just listen. I stepped out of bed and crept down the hallway. The floor felt wrong under my feet, like it was pulsing slightly, as though the house itself was breathing with dread. As I passed the bathroom, the mirror on the wall reflected a blur behind me, something that vanished when I turned. My breath caught in my throat. The pantry door was wide open. A soft, dim glow spilled out from within, flickering like candlelight, but colder. I inched closer, heart pounding against my ribs like a drum, and peeked around the doorframe. Inside the pantry was a staircase that had never been there before, wooden, spiral, descending into absolute blackness. The voices were coming from below. Not just two now, dozens, maybe hundreds. A tapestry of murmurs layered over one another like a crowd trying not to be heard, but failing entirely. I don't know why, but I stepped forward, just 1 foot onto the first stair. That's when I saw her. At the bottom of the steps, barely lit by the flickering glow, was a little girl. She couldn't have been older than 5. She wore a nightgown stained with something dark, and her hair clung to her face like seaweed. She looked up at me with pale, lifeless eyes and said in a voice too old for her body, "You're not supposed to see this yet." I stumbled back, falling onto the kitchen tile. The pantry door slammed shut on its own with a deafening crack. The whispers vanished instantly, like a switch had been flipped. I screamed. My mother found me there minutes later, curled up by the fridge, shaking. I told her about the girl, the staircase, the voices. She didn't say anything, not at first. Then she whispered something I wasn't ready to hear. "You saw her too?" I stared at my mother, unable to breathe. "What do you mean, too?" She looked older in that moment, not aged, weathered, like she had spent years standing in a storm I hadn't seen until now. Her hands trembled slightly as she helped me off the floor. She didn't say anything else that night, just held me close and told me not to go near the pantry again. But it was too late. I had seen it, and the house knew. Over the next few days, the whispers changed. They no longer waited for nightfall. I heard them behind closed cupboards, under the floorboards, in the hum of the washing machine, always murmuring, always just beyond recognition. At school, I couldn't focus. My teacher said I was drifting. My friends stopped inviting me over. I stopped caring. I was consumed by one question: who was that girl? One rainy afternoon, I finally broke down. I cornered my mom in the kitchen while she dried dishes and demanded the truth. I expected denial. I expected her to tell me it was a dream, but instead, she let out a breath like she'd been holding it for years. "We weren't the first family in this house," she began. "There was another in the 1970s, a couple and their daughter." She paused, as if choosing her words carefully. "The girl disappeared. No one ever found out what happened. The parents moved away soon after, but people say she was still in the house. I used to hear whispers when I was younger, too. I thought it was just the house settling, but when I saw her, just once, I knew something's wrong with this place." My heart was racing. "She was wearing a nightgown?" I asked. "Hair covering her face?" My mom paled. "You've seen her more than once?" I nodded. Then she said something I'll never forget. "Whatever you do, never speak to her. Never answer the whispers. That's how she gets in." But of course I already had. That first night on the stairs, when I asked, "Who are you?" When I followed the voices, when I listened, the next few nights were quiet. Too quiet. No whispers, no creaking steps, no flickers of unnatural light. My mom said it was a good sign, but I knew better. It wasn't silence, it was waiting. On the fourth day, I noticed the pantry door had changed. The peeling white paint was newer, brighter, as if someone had repainted it overnight. The latch, normally stuck and rusty, now clicked open effortlessly. I didn't open it. I didn't need to, because the door started opening itself. At 1 a.m. every night, the same pattern. A soft knock, barely audible, then a long, slow creak. I'd lie in bed frozen, listening to the silence that followed. But one night I made a mistake. I got up, not to go downstairs, but to close my bedroom door. As I turned the knob, I saw something move at the base of the stairs. She was there, but not the girl I saw before. This one was taller, her limbs too long. Her head tilted unnaturally sideways like it couldn't quite hold itself up. She had no face, just smooth gray skin where features should be. And yet, I knew she was watching me. She reached toward the pantry door and disappeared. The next morning, things in the house had shifted, literally. My bookshelf, normally against the west wall, now stood against the east. The pictures on the wall were upside down. Our cat refused to come inside, scratching madly at the back door as if something inside terrified it. Then my mother stopped hearing me. I'd speak to her, and she'd stare right through me, eyes cloudy like she was dreaming. She stopped cooking, stopped responding. One night, I found her standing in front of the pantry, whispering to someone I couldn't see. I pulled her away, shaking her out of whatever trance held her. But she said nothing, not even a glance. It was like I had ceased to exist in her world. The house was pulling her in, and I feared I would be next. It started with the mirror. I woke up one morning and found it covered in handprints, small ones like a child's. They were on the inside of the glass. I rubbed and scrubbed, but they never faded. At night, I swore I could see movement just behind my reflection, something watching, mimicking, waiting for me to blink. Then came the drawings. Pages torn from my school notebooks appeared taped to the walls. Each one depicted the same scene, the spiral staircase inside the pantry, but deeper than before. Each step had something lying on it, shapes too abstract to identify. Human? Animal? I couldn't tell. But on every page, at the very bottom of the stairs, was the little girl, smiling. I stopped sleeping. I stopped eating. Mom was still there physically, but she no longer responded to her name. I'd call her, cry in front of her, shake her shoulders until her head lolled like a broken doll. And then one night, I found her in the pantry, not near it, in it, standing on the invisible staircase I had seen before, halfway down, lit from below by that same flickering cold light. Her back was turned, and her nightgown clung to her as if she'd been sweating or worse. I called out to her, begging her to come back. She turned. Her eyes were missing. 2 black sockets where her eyes had been. I finally remembered, she whispered, that we never left. I screamed. I ran from the house, barefoot, into the field behind the property. The cold air cut my skin like knives. I didn't care. I just needed to get away. When I finally stopped, I turned to look back. But the house was gone, just empty earth, like it had never been there. I don't remember how long I wandered. Eventually, I was picked up by a truck driver who said I'd been walking barefoot along the highway for hours, mumbling about stairs and whispers. They sent me to a place with soft walls and too many questions. I didn't answer them because I knew no one would believe me. Then one night I woke in my padded room. There, across the room, was a new door, old, white, slightly ajar, and from behind it came the whispers. There were days I couldn't tell if I was dreaming or if the house was dreaming me. Time twisted into knots. I'd wake up in the bathtub or standing in the pantry, barefoot, the floor beneath me soaked with something cold and thick. Once I opened my closet and saw the spiral staircase behind my clothes. I closed it. It didn't help. The whispers had grown bold. They no longer just murmured, they laughed. "You're almost ready." They said that often now, sometimes in my own voice, sometimes in my mother's. I tried to write it all down once, a journal, proof, something to remind myself what was real. But each morning, the pages were blank, not empty, blank, as if the pen had never touched them. One morning, I woke to find the journal itself made of flesh, breathing. I burned it in the fireplace. It screamed. I remember the night I stopped trying to fight. The house had no windows anymore, just the illusion of them. What I saw outside wasn't real. The moon moved wrong. The stars pulsed like eyes. The grass grew upward from the ceiling, reaching down toward me. I found my mother in the basement, sitting cross-legged in the dark, humming a lullaby I had never heard before. She was rocking something in her arms, not a doll, not a baby. It had too many fingers. When she looked up, her mouth didn't move, but I heard her voice, inside my skull, scraping along the bone. "It's your turn now." That night I opened the pantry again. The stairs were longer now, endless, and I walked. Each step was a memory peeling away. My name, my home, the taste of strawberries, the warmth of sunlight. Gone, gone, gone. I wasn't scared anymore. Not because I was brave, but because there was nothing left in me to be afraid. Somewhere far below, I heard the girl again, but she was laughing now, and her voice was no longer a child's. I don't remember how long I walked. Downward, always downward. The stairs bent in impossible angles, twisted like roots of some ancient tree buried beneath reality. The air was thick and soupy, humming with old vibrations. Whispers wrapped around me like vines, brushing against my ears, my throat, slipping under my skin. Then suddenly there was a door, not the pantry door. This one was metal, covered in rust, breathing slightly. Yes, breathing. Its surface pulsed with every beat of my heart, and carved into it, in jagged, erratic script, "You are finally home." I opened it. The room inside was impossibly vast, a void with no ceiling, no walls, just infinite blackness lit by a faint red glow below. Hanging in the air were dozens, no hundreds of staircases like the one I'd descended, each spiraling from above, vanishing into the abyss. And on each one, someone was walking. Some were children, some were old, some crawled, some floated, all of them whispered. In the center of the space, there she was, the little girl, hair covering her face, stained nightgown, bare feet. She turned slowly, but her face was mine, not as a child, as I was now. She smiled with my mouth, spoke with my voice. "You came back." I wanted to scream, I wanted to run, but I couldn't move, because I was already there, standing across from myself. And it stepped forward. "There is no house," it said. "No mother, no pantry, no upstairs, no outside. There's just us." It reached out and pressed a cold mirror-like finger to my chest, and the whisper I had been hearing my whole life, those hundreds of voices, fragments, breaths, all came together in a single clear truth. You were the whisper all along. I opened my eyes. I was back in the house, at the kitchen table. It was morning. Sunlight streamed through the window. My mother was humming softly, buttering toast. She looked at me and smiled. "Sleep well?" she asked. And I smiled back, because now I understood. The pantry door was gone. I didn't need it anymore, because the whispering would never stop, because I was home, because I was the house. Come to the channel. The full horror awaits.